In this video, you're going to learn how to quickly create the player controls for a video game using GDevelop, not only the keyboard controls, but also for a mobile touchscreen all together in one. GDevelop makes this incredibly quick and easy. It's part of the reason why it's becoming one of my favorite game engines right now, that and because it is free. But first things first, if we're going to learn to move the player around, we need a player. So let's go over here on the right hand side of the screen and click to add new object. We're going to be adding a sprite. Let's name our sprite hero. And then you're going to click to add an animation. And in this white box with the plus sign, click there. That's how you choose your little image file. So I'll click this little guy standing. We're not actually going to animate him here. We'll leave that for another video. But to select an image for your sprite, you essentially just put the first frame of an animation in. So we'll click open and apply. We can drag him onto our screen. There he is. You want to preview, see what it looks like. Awesome, except he's just standing there. No matter what you touch, won't do anything, can't drag him. Just sits there. So we have to tell him what to do. If you want to give him actions, you have to tell it what behaviors you want him to have. This is one of the things that makes GDevelop work so quickly and easily, is because it has a lot of built-in behaviors for your sprites and other objects. If you go back to Edit Object and click on Behaviors, you can click Add New Behavior, and you can see here, we want a character. Here's a platformer character. So let's say for this demo, we're going to create a platformer like Mario or Sonic. We can select this. By default, it's already going to give controls. That's going to be left arrow to move left, right arrow to move right, spacebar to jump. Now, if you're creating a different type of game, like a shooter or a top-down racing game or something, you wouldn't want platformer. You'd actually want to click on the behaviors, and you can do this one, the top-down movement, which you go up, down, right, left, or even diagonal if you want. But same kind of thing. For this, let's do a platformer. We'll leave the default controls and hit apply. Now if we're going to have a platformer, we need a platform, right? So let's add a new object. Then we'll do tiled sprite for this. Let's name it ground. Select new image. Choose a ground image. Here we go. Grass looks good. Give it the behavior for it, or else it'll just sit there and do nothing. Choose platform. Ledges can be grabbed. You've probably seen games where you kind of try to make a really big jump and you grab the edge and you have to pull up. We're not going to do animations, so that would look kind of stupid. So we're turning that off for this demo. Hit apply. Drag it on the screen. Let's drag it out. You see for tiled, it just keeps repeating. So this is actually what the image looks like, but it just repeats it over and over and over. So it makes it quick. So instead of having to create each little one of those, you can see if you drag down, it just repeats it tiles over and over. I'll have it like this. Let's create a second platform here. Drag it out as well. Zoom out a little. Let's do one more. One more. Put this one here. There we go. So now if you preview your game, we have a platformer who has weight to him, right? He's going to fall. He's not on a platform, but we have platforms there for him to stand on. We can press the left button on the keyboard. He moves left. Push the right button. He moves right. Spacebar. He jumps. He can run and jump. And he can jump and move. But he can also run and jump right off the screen. So that's the first thing we're going to need to fix to make this little game. And this will be the first piece of essential code. Now GDevelop doesn't really do code. If you don't know how to program, that's great. GDevelop is awesome for you because it uses kind of block pseudocode. If you do know how to program already, even better. You've got kind of a jump because you already kind of understand variables and loops and that kind of thing. But the way their little block code works is they have conditions and then actions. So essentially, it's going to test for this condition, and if whatever condition you put in there is true, then it does this action. If it's not true, it doesn't do it. Now, for this right here, we want it to happen all the time, regardless of what's going on in the game. So we're going to leave condition blank, click on add action. You have all the different categories so you can search through if you forget something. You can also quickly start typing it in. So since we're going to do something with the camera, I'm just going to type in camera. There you go. You can see what's available. I want to center the camera on an object. That object we want to be our hero. I'm going to click no for anticipate movement for this. And click OK. So now when we preview, camera's going to follow our player. That is a video game, right? That's a platformer game. We have a character that we can make run, and we can make jump on platforms. But there's our second problem. You can't make that jump. Pretty bad game design. Or we just need to do the next thing, which is customize how our player moves. Close this down. If we go back to that behavior, we'll right click, edit object, behaviors. See all the things you can customize. So our player couldn't jump high enough, we'll make it 900 so you can jump higher. You want him to fall faster, you can give him more gravity. You want him to run faster, let's make that 350. Alright, now if we hit apply and test it, you see you have tons of control. We have a player that moves the way we want. Fast and high jumper. Real track star. So there, with one line, half a line of not really even code, we have a video game. But we said that we were going to do this for touchscreens too, right? Because GDevelop makes HTML5 games which run in a browser. And a lot of people today do their browsing on mobile devices, tablets and phones. So if they were to pull up this game right now, they're going to get really frustrated because they don't have a keyboard. They wouldn't be able to play. They're going to close the game and never come back. You've lost that player. So we need to adjust this for them. And what's really cool is with just a few more lines of code, we're going to be able to do that. And we don't even need to have different versions of the game. We're going to have one version of the game that's going to work cross-platform, or you could even export if you want to run a little bit more native and package it for the App Store. So let's close this down. Let's start working on our touch controls. If we're going to have touch controls, we need to know where to touch. That means a button. So we're going to add another object. It should look familiar to you. Add a sprite. Let's name it left button. Click the add animation. Get our first cell. There's the left button. Click apply. Let's do it again for the right button. Don't forget to name it right button. Our image of a right button. Apply, and one more because we want to be able to jump. So let's call this jump button. Add our image. Apply. So let's put them on our screen. Put our left button down in the corner, our right button next to it, and then the jump button over on the other side. Let's see what that looks like. Well, a couple problems there, right? First, they don't do anything. Second, you can run right by them. So, let's fix that. To have the button stay on the screen, no matter where the camera moves, we're going to create a new layer. So up here in the top right, you'll see this one, Open Layer Editor. And you can click Add New Layer. I'm going to name this layer User Interface. And on our button, I'll select what I want. So over here, I'll select that left button. And I'm going to open up the Properties Editor, Open Properties Panel. Since this is selected over here, it's selected over here. And down where it says Layer, now I'm going to put that on the User Interface layer. We'll do the same for the right button. And then the same thing for the jump button. Now when you preview your game, look at that. No matter where we run, buttons stay in the same spot. Perfect. But they still don't do something. So let's make these buttons work now. Let's go to our events. We'll add a new event. This one we are going to need a condition. And we will do the touch. So I'm just going to again type in touch to pull it up quickly. And cursor / touch is on an object, right? So that's what we want, because when you're touching or have the mouse on the button, we want it to do something. So that will be for the left button object. And click OK. Now what do we want it to do when someone is touching the left button? Well, we want it to run to the left. So if you go down here to platform behavior, and you can see controls, we can have it simulate just the same as if someone was pressing the left key on the keyboard. And we want that to be the hero that's moving when that left key is pressed. So we'll select hero and OK. Let's do the same thing for our other right button. Oops. This one, it's when the right button is pressed. And our action again. Is we want to simulate, this time, the right key press with what happens to our hero. Let's do this one more time. I'll show you, you can copy and paste. So you right click, copy, paste. Then you just click here and change that to jump button. So if you don't need to find it and search every time, make it a little faster. You can do the same thing here, copy, paste. But we don't, and then double click to edit it. We don't want it to simulate the right key. We want it to actually simulate the jump key, but still the hero. Click OK. So now, if you see here, you have the mouse on the right button, it goes right. On the left, it goes left. On the jump, he jumps. But there's still one problem, right? Because right now, by default, the mouse and the touch are the same thing. And the problem with that is the mouse can only touch one place at a time. So that the player wouldn't be able to run and jump. So to correct that, we're going to add another condition. I'm going to just move it up to the top, just kind of because it's something that happens essentially first. Because the way in programming, it's top down. It'll run this command, then this command, then this command, and just keep looping through each cycle. So let's have that. We're going to move that to the top. And what we're going to do is, since we want this to start at the beginning of the screen, for our condition, we're going to choose at the beginning of the scene. So I'll just type scene real quick. At the beginning of the scene, click OK. And for the action, so that's to do with the mouse. So activate / deactivate, moving the mouse cursor with touches. You can see if you click on this, it kind of describes it. And by default, it's activated. But it says if you want multi-touch, so be able to touch two places at once on the screen, you need to turn this off. So we're going to click No to deactivate it, and click OK. So now a player on a touchscreen would be able to hold the right hand button and jump at the same time. Next thing we need to do is, I told you that we were only going to do one version of this game, right? Well, for those players that were playing on a computer and using the keyboard, it's really kind of obnoxious to have those buttons there, right? Because they might think, oh, well, I have to use the mouse on these buttons? How do I even do that? And it's not going to be a very fun experience for them, and they're going to close the game and never come back. So we don't want a person playing on the computer to see these buttons. GDevelop makes this incredibly easy. You don't need to write a bunch of different scripts to run tests or anything. It does it in one command. So we're going to add another condition. And this condition, if you scroll down, system information, is it a mobile device, right? So by default, it's going to check if it's a mobile device. So if mobile device is true, it would do the action. We actually want it to be the inverse of that, right? So we're going to invert it to where it's essentially saying, if mobile device false, then do this action. And that action is we want to hide those buttons, right? Hide. And then you choose what you want to hide. Left button, right button, jump button. Well, I don't want to do this 3 times because that just is going to make my code a lot harder to read, make it a lot longer. So we're going to do a little shortcut first. Go back to our objects. And we want all three of these buttons to be treated the same. So we're going to create a little group. So if you do open the objects group editor, we can click on add a new group. We'll edit this group. And we can choose what objects we want into this group. So we'll do left button, we'll do right button, and jump button. Apply. And then we'll rename it. Name this touch buttons. Alright. So you see left button, right button, jump button can now be referred to as touch buttons. So when we go back to events and add action, and we add that hide action, we can just add it once to touch buttons. All your group objects are down at the bottom underneath this line. So since I'm doing this on a computer, when we preview it now, you don't see the buttons. They're still there. If someone was to, right now, if someone was to touch them, it would move. But if they're playing a computer, they're going to use the keyboard, and they're not going to be confused by seeing buttons. But if they were to play this on a mobile device, then they would see those buttons and then be able to play by using the touchscreen. So that is how you create the simple player controls with GDevelop. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you want notifications of new videos, click the little bell. If you have suggestions for other videos you want to see, please put them in the comments below. The next few videos I'm going to make similar to this, where I kind of focus on game mechanics, different ones. Once you learn those skills, you can kind of piece them together to make whatever type of game you want. So that's going to be the focus of these next few videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.